Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another fun tier list. This one, as you may have seen, is over the Watamote characters, and I'm not going to say the full name of the thing because it's obnoxious. Um,
Well, you should anyway. It's
okay,
fucking
you know what? Fine. It's no matter how I look at it, it's your guys' fault I'm not popular.
there.
There you go.
It's your freaking video. Be one.
Okay, fine. Yes, Ark and I recently read all of the Watamote manga, and we kind of fell in love with it and the characters like really, really hard. Um, Ark found two of his new top 10 favorites, so that's fun. Um, and so we wanted to make a tier list going over what we think of the characters. Now we won't be using all of the ones that it is here, simply because some of the characters that we can't remember their names, or they don't show up enough. It's very comprehensive, and consistent, which is why I wanted to use it. But we won't be doing all of them, just like most of them. Um,
and and I just want to, as with all killers, if you like any of the killers that we put at the bottom, like that's fine. Okay, more power to you. That doesn't mean the killers necessarily bad. It just means that we aren't not a fan of them. But if you like
this is absolutely a subjective tier list.
Mhm. Especially because um, the killers that I like and the killers that my wonderful Red likes here, uh, they're, we have some differences. We have also have some similarities, but there are some differences.
Some
I think it's
I would say our top parts are pretty different.
yes.
Because I know we definitely have different fate number one favorite characters for sure. Um, so I actually think normally I'm actually the one that starts, but I actually think you should start this time, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if I should start you off with a big one or like a mid range. Which would you prefer?
Uh, that's up to you. Because I feel like as with the other tier lists, saving like some of my favorite killers for like like spreading them out, or wait, not like that. Like spreading them spreading them across like the tier list. And like uh adding them in toward the middle of the end adds maybe some suspense. Shout out to people who doesn't like just go to skip to the end of the video like, to see the tier list at the end. Uh,
Okay,
so
yeah, that's fair.
yeah, so
Okay, then I'll go with one that I think is more mid range. Um, one or two.
one.
I want let's start with Kiki.
Oh, that is quite the mid one. Yeah, Kiki. Uh, so, I mean, already I'm trying to think of what I want to say about her. Um, so something that we both found interesting when it came to Watamote is that it seemed like uh, there were two entirely separate directions in how the authors intended for the anime to go. For the first 50 to
Manga.
60 chapters, well, right, manga. For the first 50 to 60 chapters, excuse me, you can really tell that it was not supposed to uh be a be a manga where the main character Tomoko uh would eventually be surrounded by like a diverse cast of 10 to 20 different characters. Maybe that was the original plan, but um like the difference
It does not feel like it
it does
was.
not feel like it, yeah. And I know that Red disagrees with me, but the difference in art style is especially like so noticeable. And that basically that is what tips me off the most that the direction it's going right now is wasn't the original plan. Because when you get to the school trip and you meet Uchi, Yoshida, and Yuri, they look like they went through another. They look like they went through another puberty between the school trip
For some
and
reason, I thought you were gonna say they look like they went through the washer.
well, yes, that too. I mean, Uchi sort of looks more or less the same because there's only so much you can do with an emoji face.
The
But
funniest thing
Yoshida,
about Uchi is that she goes from having a smile all the time to developing a crush on Tomoko, which means she's no longer smiling all the time.
yep, that's
Which is just, I
that would
just
be a
kind of
reason.
funny.
Yeah, that would be a reason to lose a smile. But yeah, the most stark contrast, difference in art style is definitely Yui. She does not. He looks in a completely different character. So
To be fair, though,
and
it's not just her character; it's also her personality is also vastly different at the start.
mhm. So with that in mind, heading back to the uh the beginning, where it's only um Tomoko, Tomoki, you, and Iki as the first few kiddos. That that puts a lot of. You think that will put a lot of weight on Kiki, that she would be like, given that she started was one of the ones that started us out that we have like the most exposure to, quote unquote, that she might rank near the top. Um, Actually, no. I mean, she doesn't necessarily have anything terrible about her, and as a matter of fact, like one of the scenes involving her, in which Tomoko has a dream about walking through a forest and she gets chased by Kiki with an eagle on the shoulder holding two eggplants, is when I first read that scene I was like dying from laughter just because we were making a joke how like
he
that
he sent it in our DMs and then pinned it because it was so funny to him.
yeah, because we were just making a joke that yeah, the worst you can find in a forest, just I mean, it's true. Like the worst you can find in a forest is another person, but like, just like the worst you can find in a forest is just your little cousin just like chasing you with two eggplants in your hands and an eagle on the shoulder. It's just the way it's drawn. It's just so funny. It's like her stoic, insane smile, which to me it's like I really like the dynamic she has with Tomoko. Uh I I'm I know it's hinted at, quote unquote, that Kiki might have like a crush on Tomoko. It's never explicitly mentioned, but um
The thing is, there's a moment where she's talking about, I think when she's talking to Tomoko in the suit, she says, "I have feelings for someone, but they're not romantic," or something like that.
right. Um Which I mean, given that she expressly said that it's not romantic, does make me lean away from that. But again, I mean, also that'd be kind of weird. But that is also part of. That's not like too out of realm of question, especially like over there in Japan. I feel like. But
Yeah, with maybe because
uh,
like cousins and everything, that's something that gets explored in media. It's considered less taboo than direct family.
uh-huh. In the initial, I want to say, funnily enough, like 200 chapters. I mean, obviously, she doesn't show up in every single chapter, but like, um, in the initial like first, I want to say 3/4 of where the manga is now. Uh, and by the way, at the time we're recording this, it's only the manga's only up to 240. Um,
The school festival arc like ended only a few chapters prior.
mhm. um, she did not unfortunately leave much of an impression on me. When I think of characters that left an impression on me, even in the beginning, it was always you and you and Tomoko, because those two are obviously the highlights of the uh, the manga. At least until the school trip starts, and then after the school trip starts, she gets cluttered together with a bunch of in my opinion, objectively better killers. So, but I will say, when she returns later on, and she has the uniform, she has the cap, and she's talking to like the rest of the killers, and she gets to spend more time with them, interact with them, and especially her interaction with Asuka, um, she makes herself very well known. Her, especially her interaction with Asuka, I think it was on the beach. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was on the
No, I think
beach,
it's the roof.
on the roof, right?
You mean during
That
do you mean during the festival?
yes,
Then
it
yeah, I'm
was
pretty sure that was on the roof.
okay. Then yeah, that interaction, where it was just them, left a very strong impression on me. And I think Kiki, ironically, is at her best when she's not spending time with Tomoko, but rather like spending time with the other killers, because for for the majority of the manga, she only gets to spend time with Tomoko, so is only just you only see like one side of her pretty much.
You know what makes her
But
a great character?
what's up?
She almost made Yuri and Nemoto take a bath together.
Oh, true. Uh, uh, um, but yeah. But again, I definitely think the best part of a killer is reveals itself when she's not spending time with Tomoko, and she because um I mean, first of all, I kept making a joke. I kept making jokes that she looked like Doraemon because she's just her expression just like it does feels like it does have a nose. It's like always like made me a little bit always like tickle me a little bit. But I mean, this isn't appearances tier list. Um, but at the same time, she also has like a constant like almost clinically insane smile. I want to say.
Well, it definitely works for
Um,
a character.
yeah, okay, yeah, I feel. But but for this ranking about how much I like Kiki, just as a killer as a whole, as mentioned before, for the first three-fourths of the manga, she didn't really leave much of an impression on me, but she's always been overshadowed by other killers, and her best moments comes from interacting with other killers on Tomoko, which is very few and far between. And as mentioned, I really think her best scene comes from the rooftop conversation with Asuka. So she's not uh, bad by any means, but I think I'm gonna throw her in. Um, I, I think she's a comfortable A for me.
You had a lot more to say than I was expecting.
The arc special.
um, I agree. I think she was like at the start of the manga. Her appearances were really fun and sorry, there's a bug. Were really fun, and I liked her dynamic with Tomoko a lot. But you're right that like as time goes by, both her and you get sidelined like a lot. To me, they both get sidelined a lot by the newer characters, like kind of vastly outperformed. And although admittedly her time in the school festival was really good for her character, all her interactions with the various characters like Shizuku, Uchi, and Asuka were my favorites. They were very fun, very enjoyable. I like her personality. Uh, I think again at the start it's kind of bland and everything, but like after she like starts to formulate more of a firm personality, both before Tomoko gets friends and like during the festival, kind of like that slightly insane, potentially sociopathic kind of thing. Um, she becomes much more of an interesting character to me, and I wish she had a little bit more. Um, I think she's probably gonna stay there and B for me. You covered most of it already. Uh, but yeah, I think that's probably fine for me. What shall you give me?
I might make some final adjustments to my tier list, more depending on who goes well. I'm probably definitely gonna make another tier above S. And
Well, yeah, no, I
I'm
just
not,
keep it. I wanted to keep it at the base for a moment because I'm also gonna add some above S as well, but I wanted to save it for the dramatic reveal, you know?
Okay, sure.
Because I think it's funny to be like, hey, here, pick this character, and then scroll up, add row above. I think that's also always really funny,
Okay.
rather than doing it
um,
beforehand.
right, okay. Uh, let's knock out someone that we both agree with. And again, I just want to remind the viewers, if you like this kiddo, then more power to you, okay? But Sachi, please.
Oh, God. The thing is, it's so funny because honestly, if in my initial read through, I would have made an F tier for her. Absolutely, I never liked her at all. I thought every time that she showed up annoyed me. I hated her character. She just annoyed me. I didn't give a crap about her relationship with Tomoki. And it's like, as my opinion of Koharu grew, my opinion of Sachi got worse. So I would have put her in F. But, as with several characters, as we'll be discussing, seeing you go through it again and getting to see it again, my opinion of her raised a little bit, but only because I find her funnier. I find her kind of funny. Her reactions to various reactions to find like things is like really dramatic and really funny. And I do think her kind of crush on Tomoki is interesting in the fact that I mean I fully believe that Tomoki is asexual completely, but it seems like Sachi is the one he has the highest opinion of. Um and it feels most like that's the one that it's probably going to be like the quote unquote canon one by the end. So she raised up a little bit for me, but she's still absolutely my least favorite character. I still don't really like her, and I don't care about her for the most part. I just find her entertaining at times. I just wish they didn't focus so much on her, to be honest. That's what annoys me the most, I think. Yeah.
So Sachi, yeah, um, before I went in and read the Watamote manga, Red told me that there was two killers that I would absolutely hate. Well, that she hated, at least, and said that I most likely would too, because most of the time we share similar opinions in our preference of killers. And when Sachi was introduced, that turned out to be exactly what it was. She was
See, because
quite.
here's the thing for people who don't know. One of Ark's least favorite character personalities is someone who's manipulative.
Mhm.
And that's what Sachi is. She is incredibly manipulative to basically everybody, but especially Koharu.
Right. So yeah. Around the time of her introduction, that's exactly what she is. She's for lack of a better term, manipulative bitch. She was a bitch. She's a bitch to Koharu, a bitch to Futaki, a bitch to really everyone. Really. Okay. So
She's
anytime,
a bit Yuri.
uh-huh. So anytime that uh she gets a scene, I always find myself just like rolling my eyes. Um,
I'm pretty sure. I swear that whenever she showed up, you read even faster.
yeah, I couldn't win. I just like I give me away from this, because the thing is I did enjoy my time of reading Koharu, especially when her dynamic with a relationship with Futaki was a lot more fleshed out later on. And ironically, that's also the time when Sachi, in my opinion, starts becoming better. Because even though Sachi is still continues to be a bitch, still manipulative. Around that point, when Koharu starts actually biting back, actually starts um defending Futaki, which I think is a really, really
Not only does
that
she defend Futaki, but when she realizes that Sachi has a crush on Tomoki, she does everything she can to keep them apart.
uh-huh. So I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was because like Sachi realized that, oh wow, Koharu is actually like, biting back. Maybe I'm not like, maybe I need to, maybe that like mellowed her out. Even though we didn't get to see any dialogue that what it suggests as a thing. But the as the manga progressed, um, it felt like Sachi is definitely a lot more mellowed out, rather than continuing to always just be, the manipulative bitch that she was introduced to be at her introduction. Um, because toward the around like the end of school festival, I honestly found her pretty funny. Her reactions with involving like Tomoki, uh, and anytime that she's like caught off guard and like her eyes just disappear from her face, it's like she just has like that blank like, open mouth like expression. I always find pretty funny. Um,
Her reaction to finding out that Tomoko and Tomoki are siblings is also really, really funny. Just her
uh-huh.
just being
And
completely stunned, and then her being like, "Oh shit, have I bullied her?" Like, oh god, I hope I haven't bullied my crush's sister.
and I really like that when they are in the arcade and everyone's together trying to solve the game, and like for one of the questions nobody knows it, Sachi actually, you know, pulls a stick out of her ass and then actually tries to actually help someone answer it helps them answer the question correctly. I think that was a really great moment for her, because that's definitely not something I would expect from Sachi. The Sachi that at least that's not something I would expect from the Sachi that we were introduced to in the beginning. So I definitely think she's become a better killer as time has gone on. So and I'm honestly interested to see where Killer goes. If she regresses, which I hope not, or if she just continues on to becoming hopefully better killer as time goes on. Because Koharu has definitely become has been just that. She for because of Futaki, she's become a much better killer. So unfortunately, because because in the beginning she is still was still a bitch. And even after she mellowed out, she still has those mean moments. She's not pulling herself out deep. But I think of the killers in this tier, of which I think there's only going to be two. She's the closest one to moving up, I would say. And Red's absolutely right. I if initially I would have been an F tier for her, but you know, I think she, as time has gone on, she has worked her way up here, which isn't too much of an improvement, but still is an improvement.
It's still not F, you know. Okay. Hmm. Let's do Yoshida.
Yoshida, so
Hmm.
Yoshida starts this line of characters that kind of feels one note sometimes uh like for example Uchi, uh a lot of people that I've seen around have rightly questioned if there's anything to Akira besides just being a one dimensional one noted joke, because her whole stick seems to just be like, oh hey, anytime Tomoko appears, poof, here's Yuchi, and then here's Uchi just calling her gross or something along those lines, and then disappearing, and then rinse and repeat for the future. Yoshida is kinda like that, but I'm also not really. She is
Yeah, I wouldn't say
she
so.
she is she is uh, she's among the first people after
Can I
Kiki.
speak for a second?
Yes, yes,
I
for
want
sure.
to point out that, from my understanding, she has like four distinct parts of her character. One is that she's very violent. She to people who like upset her, especially Tomoko. She really likes cute things, and gets bothered when people insult her for it. She has a crush on Tomoki, but is so naive and never experienced that kind of stuff that she doesn't even fully understand. And she is completely clueless about anything sexual. Those are like the four main characteristics to her personality.
Right, but what I had in mind rather was that she is always just like has this mean spirited side of her, or just this angry side of her that is always like it's always extremely violent. Like anytime she shows up, I always like have expect in the back of my mind if she's gonna like start throwing hands again, because that's basically what a killer was in the first half, especially with Tomoko. Now granted, I definitely think like in all those scenes, Tomoko definitely deserved to get that kid. Uh, but uh
I
um
was still always
but
find it funny that Akane was like, "Hey, you're being bullied. I'm gonna save you." Hey, what was she bullying you about? Oh, okay. No, you deserve it.
and it's just like she apologizes to like Yuri, and Yoshi just like walks away. But even despite her being mean spirited, I really like that doing, whatever it is, hanging out trips, group events. Um, Obviously Tomoko is the main killer, but I still enjoy that even despite how much that Yoshida seems to like strike or hit Tomoko, but despite the past, or despite everything that Tomoko Dama does toward her, she always seems to include Tomoko and doesn't ever mind it without making a big deal of it. And
like,
that
I think Yoshida was the one that saw Tomoko staring at Megumi at the graduation, and she was like, "Okay, clearly you're not gonna go talk to her on your own." So she grabs her and drags her over to Megumi.
and then right, and then unlike many kiddos who spend entire of conversations just overthinking things, Yoshida, I think, is very refreshing in that she's very direct. um, the only criticism I can think of the top of my head that I can really I like picked up is that she doesn't really undergo a huge character growth. I want to say, I mean, unlike some other killers, like I think of I mean, well, a lot of killers grow throughout the course of the manga. You know, that's how mangas go. The more time you spend with killers, the more you see them develop, and that's part of the reward. Yoshida for me feels like the almost like the same killer from when the school trips began at around episode 70, episode 70, chapter 70 to like chapters like 200. She she's still is still that, but is still mean spirited. She still treats Tomoko and the others the same. She is um is still can still be violent at a moment's notice. Um, the only thing that feels like that changed is that now Mako is there, and Mako, as well discussed when we get to her, is very defensive about anyone that uh, it, com- it comes close or uh, is uh, does anything remotely relationship oriented with Yoshida, which again is more about Mako's killer. But even so, I definitely think that Yoshida is extremely funny, and that of the three, a lot of people, I mean, of the three we get to meet in a school trip, Yuri hardly feels like a killer. she, but she is as stoic as can be. Uchi has a really bad first impression, in our opinion, but Yoshida is incredibly funny. Every scene that um she shows with Tomoko that ultimately results in Tomoko getting hit, especially I'm thinking about like the scene where it's just Yoshida and Tomoko playing the crane game, and then the Tomoko is like freaking out like when she gets back and using the washroom, like she's like no, we have this, and then starts rambling about like how like Yoshida is like wants that crane or she's gonna kill it, and then Yoshida comes back and then pulls in a stranglehold. I think that's just really really funny. And I also really like the scene where as mentioned Yoshida's bullying Tomoko while Yuri's just watching, and Kanye walks over. She asks Tomoko what Yoshida was bullying her about, and it just throws her back. So I think that's a really funny scene too. So yeah, she definitely has some very funny moments, and and I do really like her. Every time I see her presence, as with most kiddos in Watamote, I end up enjoying her presence. So I think I'm gonna throw her in A, please. And as I'm gonna throw Kiki like I'm down a B actually.
So, my favorite aspect of Yoshida's character is her very. It's a very slow burn, but I really, really like her slowly developing a crush on Tomoki after all the stuff that he ends up doing to her by accident. Um, basically making her like start learning more about like her own sexuality and stuff through just the silliest things and most coincidental things happening. But and seeing her interacting with him is always makes her come across super cute. Which I really like because I like that like cuter side of her personality that we don't get to see too often. Getting to learn more about her, especially like during the arc where they go to like Disneyland, was really cool because that's when you first start to get that aspect of her character that's not just violent. You get to learn like, oh, she likes cute stuff and she will fight you if you insult her about it. And that's honestly, it makes her feel like a lot more of a like two-dimensional character. And then you just learn more and more that she develops the crush and everything. And it's really cool. Her dynamic with Yuri and Tomoko at the start is fun, even if it starts to fall off a lot more as time goes by, unfortunately. In favor of, although it's in favor of Yuri and Nemoto growing closer instead. So I think that's a good trade. Um, she's a really good like strong for like one of a good choice for one of Tomoko's first friends. Even and it is kind of funny to see that it's like over time it's interesting because it's so realistic in the way that even though Yoshida and Yuri were both Tomoko's first real friends in high school, that Yuri stuck around and got way closer to her, and Yoshida, although they are still probably like considered friends, she definitely like fell a little bit further away from Tomoko, which I just find really interesting and like cool that the manga is willing to like do that kind of thing. That's like, yeah, that's realistic. Not everybody just stays friends forever. Like you can stay into like this kind of role where you are like close enough to the person you can still call them friends, but it's not to the same level it might have used to be. And then you have the other friend who gets even closer. But Yoshida always stayed really interesting to me, and I am very curious to see where it goes with the between her liking Tomoki but Mako liking her. And I think that's going to be very interesting to see how that eventually resolves. Um, So yeah, the question is, do I like her in A or do I like her enough to put her in S? Hmm. I think A is probably copying each other for now. A is probably where she's staying for me. I might change that later though. I'll have to see.
Um, let's see. uh, please talk about Megami for me.
You want me to talk about Megami first?
Yes, I do.
Wow, okay. So, Megami, unfortunately a severely like underdeveloped character. Um she's the first person that really shows interest in Tomoko outside of Nemoto, but she's also the first one to actually like approach her about it. It's very subtle at first. And it was kind of like the first hints that maybe there was gonna be something else going on with the manga before the big turn happened at the school trip. Um, Although unfortunately, due to the way that the manga worked, she had to leave the narrative before Tomoko really got a chance to get closer to her, which is unfortunate. Um, so it does feel like missed opportunity, but maybe that's just because of how the manga started out and what the original intention behind it was. Um, she was an interesting character for that first half, but like definitely once you learn she gets to like start interacting with the other characters more, she have like the whole joke with her with her having the dog was really fun. Um the main thing holding her back for me, it's like I know she probably would be a great character, but the thing is she just does not show up very often, unfortunately. Although I am still fully convinced that there's going to be a college once this series ends. There's going to be a college series as well. And if that does happen, Megumi is most likely going to be like a way more prominent character. And am very much hoping for that because I think she really, really needs to be fleshed out more and have more interactions with the others. Um, because she and Tomoko seem to have a real like connection for as little time as they spent together, and I really wish we could see more of it. Because there's clearly something there. Because Megami got like really weirdly attached to her right off the bat for some reason, and Tomoko like actually like gave it back like way more than you would expect for again two people who didn't not interact that much. And I wish we got to see it more. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna keep her at the bottom of B.
This one infuriates me, but not because like she's a bad kiddo. In fact, she's an amazing kiddo. Well, that's exactly why this fucking sucks. Because she, as mentioned, is severely lacking in scenes. I know that she's a year above Tomoko and the rest of them, and so she graduates. She graduates and shortly soon after disappears, and she gets and it's just like it's basically a cameo killer after that until she returns later on with her dog Maru and toward the end in a school festival. But he is such a sweet and amazing kiddo. She apart from you, she is one of the first people in the entire series, uh, and I think is the first person
It's
in the
I can never remember if it's her or Nemoto that interacts with Tomoko first.
um I think that sorry, Tomoko comes across Megami first. But they, again, as with usual, they didn't like interact a whole lot. I think it was just the one where they say good morning to each other, and then Megami looks back and gets distracted, and then Tomoko just like, walks away. So it doesn't like isn't like too much, but um, I think she is like the one of the first people, if not the very first person in entire school, to treat Tomoko with like genuine kindness, despite Tomoko up to that point being a complete no-no. Um, Megami constantly encourages her, never makes her feel like a burden, and and uh, it, she has one of, in my opinion, the best scenes in the entire manga. With Tomoko in that, when Tomoko's at the I forgot what it was. I think it was like was it the festival alone? Megami like borrows borrows the costume and it walks up
And
and
gives her a
it
hug.
gives her a hug, gives her a balloon, And then later on, during the time of graduation, like she hugs again, and then Tomoko realizes it was her, and then she actually gets emotional that she never seen
And
get more.
the best part of that is that there's been an entire joke going on the entire time that Tomoko is like feeling under the weather, so she's been sniffling a lot throughout the entire thing, and people keep being like, "Hey, are you okay?" And she's like, "No, I'm just a little sick." But then at the end, once she has that realization, she sniffles, and then it's clear that time, um, both in that panel and then one after that, that she's sniffling because she gets not because of the fever, but because of she's getting emotional, and it's just like it's such a good payoff.
And then yeah, but because Megami is such a sweetheart, and that her kindness never feels forced. She's always just like so pure and so kind to everyone, and it's especially prominent with Tomoko. I know has she barely interacts with people outside of that. And I wish she met more kiddos. I especially wish she met my other few favorite kiddos. But hopefully she eventually does. But that's why it infuriates me, because despite how amazing of a killer she is and how wonderful of a killer she has the potential to be the best killer in the entire manga for me. But because she's doesn't stick around, and because she's basically a cameo killer even before like the graduation, um, both before and after she graduated, like every time she shows up, I always get so excited, and so happy because again I miss her, and every time she shows up, it's a treat. But I just wish she showed up more. Like, god damn. But still, even despite the scenes, I'm impressed. Just that Akira, that um, even if she does periodically show up, she not only has not a single bad scene in the entire run of Watamote with 240 chapters so far, but instead has one of the best ones in that scene of um, Megami giving Tomoko a hug both times. So she goes in S tier. She's the first killer in S tier for me.
See, it just blows my mind that she can still go in there despite being, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Huh. So many options. 1, 2, or 3.
Two, please.
2. Sasuke.
What to say about Sasuke? Um, so unfortunately, I'm not too much of a fan. It's too much of a fan. Too fond of Sasuke. She Now she does feel like a genuine member of the friend group rather than a killer built around just a single joke. She has her own opinions, she has her own relationships, and she has a role within the larger cast. And a lot of her appeal, I think, comes from helping the ensemble, uh, I think, feel more authentic. She doesn't dominate scenes, and she just contributes to the social atmosphere of the cast and of the manga. But like with Megami, um, she doesn't receive nearly enough focus to, in my opinion, become anywhere near a fan favorite on the length of other characters that we're gonna spend a lot more extended time around. Like for example, um, Namato, uh, Yuri. Yoshida, um, Uchi. I mean, the list goes on and on, really. Even like Koharu and Sachi, and Futaki, like I can like list almost every one entire manga. I think that they get like more scenes than Sasaki does, unless I'm just forgetting a big one. Um, but unlike with Megami, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I just Megami, not Megami, Sasaki just unfortunately she just I just never really found myself being fond of her, and I'm not sure exactly what it was. I think a part of it is definitely that her introduction, or like the few chapters we get introducing her, um, makes her appear very full of herself, especially in relation to like intimacy, which I was never really a fan of. I'm not much of a fan. I'm definitely not a fan of when they're celebrating the end of the school festival, and then Sasuke makes a joke about uh, getting four-letter R word, and Tomoko has to lecture her about Tomoko of all people has to lecture her about how perceiving all men as, you know, Olympus is disgusting, and rightfully so. And then upon getting lectured, Saskia is just kind of like, it's like, oh, okay, it's like great dismissal, okay, and she's I don't think she like apologizes. She just says, okay, just let me have a hug, please, and that's basically all there is to it. So that is to say, I'm not a fan of Sasuke, unfortunately. Uh, she's not. Well, actually, actually, funnily enough, again, once unless I'm looking at a scene, unlike with even with Sachi, I don't remember a single scene she has where I even like found myself entertained or laughed with her or with something that she has said or one of her reactions. I think I just kind of found myself kind of annoyed, honestly. So she's not worse, and well, actually, she doesn't really even like improve much of a kid. Like Sasuke, at least felt like her killer got better as time went on. Sasuke once again feels like a killer just remain like the same. Honestly, I think she goes even below Sachi, to be honest. I'm sorry.
Wow. All right. So the funny thing is, when when I first went through the manga myself, I kind of felt neutral about her. I think her storyline about being woefully like confused and concerned about what Tomoko and Asuka have done together and like what they're talking about with like the hair and stuff. I think that's funny, but it's like after that she just kind of like she doesn't really have anything interesting going on. And I feel like her personality isn't even like super well defined a lot of the time. She just comes across as kind of an idiot. And I feel like after seeing you go through it again and her seeing that she just doesn't really do very much. Like, she's like, again, I don't really find too much about her to be outright terrible like I think about Sachi, but she's definitely like just not that interesting and doesn't have any major storylines going on, doesn't really have anything interesting going on. So, I don't know. I don't know if I want her at low C or high D.
Oh,
I wish there was more to her, you know.
yeah, exactly. I think her definitive lack of like scenes is what is personally what puts her in like the. For me, it's like think about who else is gonna be in a C tier for you. Do you think you would be happy putting her in the same tier as the other killers, or do you think there's just more
Okay, no, that's a good point. On my first read through, it would have been a C, but after a second go through, it's a D. Plus, whenever I see her, I literally can't see her as anything other than Nicole. She looks just like her.
um, let's see. Who to give you? Oscar, please.
Asuka. Ooh, Asuka. She's great. I love her. After she's definitely my second favorite pairing for Tomoko after Uchi. And honestly, she's like the main one after Uchi. And that partially comes down to the fact that out of all of the people that are shipped with Tomoko, Asuka feels like the one that Tomoko like almost has a crush on her, you know? Because if she you can tell she great if she does not have a crush on Asuka, she definitely like greatly respects her, and that makes her a way more enjoyable character for me. She's one of the most mature ones of the entire cast, probably like the most mature after like Megami. Definitely one of the most mature of more recurring cast. I like her early interactions with Tomoko. The way that they become friends feels so natural and fun. Just like doing like the makeup and stuff every once in a while until they eventually start hanging out and stuff, and then fully solidified once they go check out the college together was really cool. And the entire scene was really fun. Tomoko having to choose between her and Uchi's drinks on like that, it was really fun because you could tell they both wanted that like indirect kiss, and it was really cute. Um, her interactions with the other characters really, she's the only real character that gets like an actual interaction with you, like a more definite interaction with you outside of like Tomoko and Komi, and that makes her a lot better to me. I love her design. Her design is, I don't know what it is about it, but I really love her. Like I think she's like one of the most beautiful characters in the cast, and I could not tell you why. It's just the way that something about her face is really beautiful to me, and it's really fitting for her personality and everything. I love her a lot. The fact that she's also able to match Tomoko's lewdness at times, despite her more mature demeanor, is really great. Um, I wish she does get plenty. Don't get me wrong, but I do think that I do wish she almost had more scenes too. You know, like, don't get me wrong, I love like Yuri and Yamato, but I wish Asuka got a little bit more in place of them, like every once in a while, you know? Just because I really like seeing her interact with Tomoko a lot. And I feel like, especially towards like the slightly later part of the manga, that kind of falls off a lot more. And it makes me sad. But yeah, I really like her.
So I quite literally have nothing to add apart from what you just mentioned. I think, as per usual with these kinds of tier lists,
Well,
previously,
you can tell I really liked her because I just had a lot to say.
well, yeah, exactly. Which is perfectly fine. I'm sure that we're gonna have. This is how it goes with like the killers we're a fan of. We just ramble about how much we like them, as it's gonna be especially prominent with the killers that we're gonna have to make an extra kill for. Uh, but yeah, the only thing I can say about Asuka that you didn't mention is that I think she makes she definitely makes a lot of scenes funnier just by being present. She isn't uh like over exaggerated in the joke aspect like someone like for example Uchi is, but there are definitely some funny moments involving her. It's in involving like some uh like it was involving like misunderstandings because like she's just in her own head. I really like how there's been multiple scenes where Asuka does Tomoko's makeup, and then be it Namato or some other killer, they always upon seeing Tomoko's makeup had like try not to laugh. Uh, so I definitely think what those are like where a lot of the humor originates from. I didn't agree with you in that after Megami, Asuka definitely looks like the oldest slash most mature slash most mature acting of the entirety of the cast. I definitely find it pretty as well. Uh, and she just doesn't really have like any bad scenes.
I literally have nothing like everybody so far, like even some like the thing is, even with like my favorite, like I could come up with something bad to say about her. I literally don't think there's a single thing I could really say that I dislike about Asuka.
See, I feel the exact same way, but for some reason I just can't. I just could never bring myself to like her on the same level as the character who was gonna be at the very top, or at least enough to join, make her join the same tier as Megami. I just don't. But at the same time, I don't know exactly what it is. But what it is like, as you mentioned, she doesn't really have any like bad scenes really. And in fact, she gives like some kiddos some much needed scenes. Like for example, I think Kiki's best scene comes from her interaction with Asuka, like on a roof, as mentioned in her section. But at the same time, I don't know if it's just because like she doesn't have any scenes that particularly stand out, which
Really?
is definitely was definitely subjective.
Okay, so for me, the scenes that stand out the most to her is when is them on the roof or not on the roof. Yeah, the roof scene with Kiki, the bench with her, Tomoko, and Uchi, where both of them give Tomoko water. Um, on the beach when when Asuka gropes Tomoko, I think gets smacked in the face. So Asuka lays on her lap and asks her to call her by her name, which is like a big moment for her. And then the doing stuff for the play, and then the part where it's like, "Hey, do you want to touch my boobs?"
Oh, okay, okay, fine. But I okay, yeah, I did forget about that. Like, I know that there was a huge thing going on between Sasuke and Tomoko and Asuka, and that Sasuke was trying to figure out like, did Tomoko really touch Asuka's chest? Which I think that was another I definitely think that was another point where I went against Sasuke. I didn't mention it in her section, but I just forgot about it. But upon being reminded about it, I'm definitely more comfortable playing her like where she is right now. But um, no, I was gonna say like I was gonna keep her in like top 80, but I don't think that's fair because again, she doesn't have any bad scenes, and I really can't like tell you like what it is that's keeping her out of very top of the top. But at the very least, I can put her like just like right behind Megami for me. She doesn't again, because she like Megami doesn't like she doesn't really have like any bad scenes per se. I guess she just like to me just doesn't have any scenes that, for example, has like the same impact, in my personal opinion, as the for example scene of like Megami hugging her and then Tomoko finding out at the graduation later on, in my opinion.
You know, it's really funny looking at these images. Like all of these look like candids, but then Megami's looks like a yearbook photo. Like, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Which is really fitting for her though.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. Man, still a lot of good options. I don't know if I want to hit with a super big one yet or not.
Well, there was we covered Megami, so there's still another two, which you know of course, but
Well, I mean, yeah,
um,
I know you're two like big heavy hitters. So, okay, you're right. We did do Megami already. Let's do um Futaki.
oh, for talking. Um,
What a turnaround for you.
yeah. Okay, Futaki is Okay, I'm gonna be 100% honest, everyone, including you. Well, I mean, you already know how I feel about Futaki. When I knew nothing about Futaki and only saw her picture, I was like, what the actual f? Like, you look even uglier than like Uchi does. But and I asked you. I remember explicitly asking you, like, please don't tell me this is the expression that she always has because it's gonna be disaster in that case. And then you told me yes. And then I just remember being like, oh god, this is gonna be a shit show, isn't it? Uh, and at the beginning, it kind of was because her her when the seats were assigned, um, she only has one, I think, one liner, and that is I'm in class. I think is it seat or class 335
I can't
or
remember.
oh, okay, well, either one. She only gets like one single line.
The joke was that everybody was in Tomoko's class except for Uchi, and then the
Mhm.
other emoji girl comes up and be like, "Oh, hey, I'm in the class," and Uchi's like, "Why?"
But Futaki feels like the more that we get scenes with Futaki, the more that uh, I came around to liking her just more and more and more and more, because Futaki feels like an extremely believable and relatable teenager. Throughout the manga, well, not throughout the manga, throughout the scenes where she appears, she acts just in, incredibly carefree. She just is a killer who exists and is a killer who just enjoys life. She's just a gamer girl who just enjoys life and enjoys her meals. Her
Perfect meal.
every yeah, every scene where she shows up, it's always just like something that is just so basic, but it's also like so adorable. Where she's just like having fun, whether she's just having fun or she's just like nomming eagerly on her food. And that to me is in a manga where a lot of killers are personalities are over exaggerated. So having such a chill killer and someone who just like enjoys life and just like is just um, accepts what's being thrown her way without being without too much of a strong reaction to anything is very nice and very refreshing. I don't think she has ever gotten angry or like overly happy about anything. She just has like a single neutral expression, which to me is also part of her charm.
Well, it's either this or the sushi cat.
Uh huh. Exactly. Um, and of course, she's responsible for giving Koharu some much needed kill development. Whereas Koharu was just like Sachi, a bitch. Um, upon meeting and spending more time with Futaki, she's she's opened herself up. She realizes that there's more to her friends than just Sachi. She actually grows like a spine, like talks back to Sachi, which everything is like a big part of the reason why Sachi again began to like mellow out. Um, uh, again, the main issue is that she shows up like so late, and she is also just like shows up periodically. She definitely isn't very interesting, but again, she's just so adorable and like so relatable that I cannot bring myself to dislike her like even the slightest. She's just again adorable. This is definitely a killer which is has definitely the biggest like whiplash about how I feel about a killer. Like it's basically the very definition of it. Don't judge a book by its cover because yeah, going purely by its design, I was like, oh my god, but actually learning like more about her, and actually seeing like how adorable she is. Yeah, yeah, she's great. So she uh she doesn't rank. She doesn't. I don't think she uh I don't think like those small scenes she has, even despite how adorable she is enough like rank her in like the A tier along with everyone else who is gonna be in that tier. But I don't think she places herself in like the highest the high B, well high B or low A. We'll see. Like maybe we'll make some adjustments when everyone's added. We'll see.
So, kind of drawing off of what Ark already said, I also saw her as just kind of like a background character for like most of the manga. Um, but then eventually coming around to be the one that helps give Koharu the development that she needed, raising Koharu from like a D character, like a C character, I think, um, was really, really needed. Her being just a character that's like, it's kind of like you said, she just kind of enjoys life with all these other characters who stress about so many things, stress about the future, stress about people's thoughts of them, stressing about like crushes and everything. Futaki is just over here living her very best life and just enjoying every day that she's alive. She's shown to be an incredibly athletic and like surprisingly strong person for the sake of gaming. And not only is she like good at gaming, but she's also shown to be using that to be like a fairly successful YouTuber. Which then also, which like it's great because everything builds on each other. Like you get introduced to her being like strong, and then it introduces that's because she plays games, and then play games leads into her being a really good YouTuber, and then the YouTubing stuff translates to her being an incredibly good editor, which translates into her helping edit the Tomoko's movie, and then that's how she gets wrapped up into everything. And it's such a really well thought out like path and a really well thought out direction for her character to give her a lot of like importance to the plot. She gets to be like fairly important during that part of the school fest, like the build up to the school festival arc, and that's really really cool of her. She has a lot of like more going for her than you would initially think, and again it's just like those moments where she just like gets to just kind of have that smile on her face, the sushi cat smile, which she's so adorable. And to the point that like our last recording of Danganronpa, we kept basically talking about Kyoko Futaki, just Kyoko being in the corner just nomming on food, just perfect meal. And yeah, Futaki grew on me like a lot. um I think she's probably kind of a similar vein for me, like a low A. Um yeah, she's incredibly enjoyable. I think she's adorable too.
Um,
Okay, hit me with it.
uh, now I'm gonna hit you with a big one. I think we've talked about enough killers that we can do one that we can speak about the main protagonist, Tomoko.
Ooh, Tomoko. Okay, here we go. This is my first one.
Oh, is she?
Yes. I'm adding by the way, there's gonna be a rank above this too.
Okay.
Actually no. I'll make it like this. Tomoko is an absolutely fantastic protagonist. Um she comes across like she should be a person that you can very easily hate. That you can very easily think she's dumb or silly or just kind of a creep, which she is, but she does it in such a way that makes her somehow really really adorable. And you kind of learn to just kind of root for her even though she constantly messes up and constantly is the reason that she's messing up. Somehow she gets you to root for her, and it's impressive. And her being her managing to somehow, like, despite her being the way she is, somehow she proves to be surprisingly charismatic because she draws so many people around her very easily without even trying. Starting with Yoshida and Yuri at the school festival, and then extending eventually to all the other people that end up eventually becoming her friends. She has a surprising ability to bring people together, which, like, other characters say that other like a few times, that she's like, she for despite how she is, um she has this ability to, like, bring people together. Because you just think of that one scene, when she's trying to make dinner, or she's gonna eat lunch with Shizuku, and then when Shizuku shows up, this chain of events, like, Tomoko has there's like 12 other people in the courtyard because of just the connections to that eventually lead back to Tomoko. And it's like she brings these groups of people together, and it's kind of insane. And it makes her, like, way more fascinating as a character. And it's just fun seeing her. It's so rewarding seeing her go like 60, 70 chapters being just so, like, kind of self-destructive in that she can't get herself to, like, she can't control herself. She can't get herself to not cause constant misunderstandings, um to be extremely rude and judgmental of other people, and then somehow, after all that time, she finally, like, kind of matures a bit, and she finds people who can at first tolerate her, and that which helps her kind of control herself a little bit, and then that just kind of steadily grows into having, eventually having people who genuinely, like, trust her and like her and even, like, fall in love with her. And it's really rewarding to see her, like, grow and mature as a character and as a person to that point, because it felt like such a hopeless situation at the start, but then you just see that she just had to meet the right people under the right circumstances that would understand the way she is. Like, I think my favorite moment of that is early on when she reflexively tries to get coins out of the vending machine, and then she turns to look at Yuri, and Yuri says, like, "Oh, I already know how you are, so I don't care." And it's just like, it's such a little thing, but it's that moment where you're like, wow, she's actually found people who, like, understand her and don't judge her for the weird things that she does. And I think after that moment, she's just like, she calms down a lot more. Like, don't get me wrong, she still has a lot of those personality traits that, like, make her her. Um, but it feels like she kind of, like, is able to, like, take a step back and actually, like, control herself, because now she actually has people who, like, understand that she's the way that she is. And it's cool to see her change and grow better as a person and as a character that way. Um, it's definitely a slow burn, but that makes it all the more believable. Um, and yeah, I'm very, it's that kind of thing where it's like, man, I'm very happy for her. She kind of deserved it after all the stuff that she did go through, even if some of it was self-inflicted. And she's just funny too. On top of being adorable, she's just really funny and relatable at times. Not all the time, but at times. And I think she is a fantastic protagonist. Um, she's become honestly one of my favorites after reading this manga. Um, yeah, I think that's all I got to say. I talked
So
more than I
as is
meant to.
Yeah, so as a tradition, but for kiddos that again, like with Oscar, when it's a killer that you like, whoever goes first, it doesn't leave the other person much to say, and that, and so I'm probably gonna be just reiterating what you brought up, in that you're right. Tomoko has one of the, in my opinion, one of the best growth arcs I think I've ever seen, in like manga. And now for context, I didn't read like a lot of manga like before this. Uh, um, but early on, Tomoko, obviously we see her like spending most of her time isolated, fantasizing about like what could be, fantasizing about popularity, completely misunderstanding social situations. Um, and for again the first 60 or so chapters. That's exactly what it is. That's basically the entire premise of the manga. And that apart from the scenes she gets with Yu, Kiki, Tomoki, and toward the end of it, Komi, before the school trips began, um, she is just this little. But by the later parts of
That's
the manga, yeah.
sorry. I actually, now that you mention it, I actually think that's a perfect demonstration that Yui, or not Yui, Yu is her friend because Yu understands how she is and knows what she's like and isn't bothered by it. And so all Tomoko had to do was find more people that were like that.
Mhm. But by the later parts of the manga, she is organizing hangouts. She's maintaining friendships, even though sometimes she inflicts, says things that makes the others like potentially question why they're friends with her, and actually participating and getting invited in group activities. I especially like every single scene where it's a callback to like the early years where she's like alone and then you skip the present, you just see her surrounded by people who are actually friends with her. And I think it's every time like one of those scenes appears, it's always just so uh, cute and again magical. And you see this growth during the culture festival, the class trips, the countless casual interactions, where she's noticeably more comfortable the more friends she makes, and the more that the manga goes on. And in my opinion, like what makes her just amazing is that she grows the kiddo, but at the same time, you can still tell that she is the same Tomoko that um, as it was at when at the very beginning. It's just that she becomes more comfortable. She actually made friends and got to know other people better. So I mean, as you mentioned, I'm just again, I'm happy. I'm happy for it, but she definitely deserves it. And especially when reading Watamote, she is definitely one of the killers that made the experience enjoyable because she's incredibly funny. And um, if not for entertainment, like I'm sure that a lot of scenes involving the interactions with the killers won't happen, which I think is definitely a big part of the reason that sells this entire manga itself. So since you're gonna be adding like two tiers above, like as I'm gonna do the same. Can you just like, add one right now for me? Um, um, throw her up there and put and place Megami right behind her, please. She was initially gonna be an S, but the more I'm talking about her, the more I'm hearing about her, no, she deserves this place. She was initially gonna be only an S, but I take my mind. She's a great protagonist.
Oh boy. Well, now you did that, I can't do another heavy hitter yet. Shizuku.
You mean Chizuka, or
Shizuku.
is it Chizuka? I keep getting mixed.
Don't for the I don't know why. For the love of God, I still confuse her with I call her Chizuru, which is completely wrong, and I have to
What?
remember it's Shizuku.
Where is
I
Chizuru coming
don't
from?
know. It just kind of happened.
Um. This Shizuku. What I say about her? I think the most I can say about her is that Shizuku. She's a very pleasant um character anytime she shows up. She contributes a lot to the feeling that Tomoko's connections has truly solidified as like a genuine social network. Because by the time she's introduced, uh, I mean, Tomoko. I mean, yeah, Tomoko already has like a bunch of friends. So Shizuku doesn't have anything. I mean, she's a incredibly pleasant presence. She's very she's very sweet. She's very nice, and she of course she spends the majority of the time with Tomoko. But I mean that's not necessarily bad, because during the during beer gatherings or beer conversations, um, she does add personality and does make her presence known um, without demanding attention as much as perhaps as much as a lot of the main cast would. Um, she's not. She's definitely not the killer that most people would remember when they think about Watamote, but she definitely makes the cast um com- feel more complete in that in all like the bombastic personalities that Tomoko's friend groups has. Here's a kyoto that's just very chill and is very sweet and nice. In that case, in that vein, she reminds me a lot of Megami in that they're both very nice and they both enjoy interacting with um, Tomoko. But I mean not like Megami. Shizuku doesn't have any doesn't have any scenes that I can remember that stands out to me, because she rarely gets like major spotlight moments. She just exists and is someone that appears, and most of the time it's just someone that Tomoko it just exists to has uh, healthy and normal interactions with Tomoko without anything involving like violence or anything involving like anything more dramatic. So um, I'm gonna put it between Futaki and Kiki, please, and B.
Taki and Kiki. Okay.
What is so?
Shizuku.
Is that your fan? What's it?
What?
I'm hearing like a lot of background noise. Is that your
Sorry,
mic
no,
or is it?
that's just me moving around.
Okay.
Sorry. You know me, ADHD, constantly shifting, can't get comfortable. Um, Shizuku, I think, is a character that had the potential to be better, but honestly, she kind of fell flat for me. Like, her being there to serve as someone who actually looks up to Tomoko instead of Tomoko looking up to someone else is a really interesting thing, and I think that there's a lot you can do with that, especially since it's like that. Well, that's basically the same thing that like Tomoko felt for Megami, was like looking up to her. And now she has her own like person to call her like a senpai, and that's really like important to her. Um, with her also basically being the opposite of Tomoko, that she's constantly surrounded by guy friends but has no girlfriends, and Tomoko is constantly surrounded by girls and has no guys. Although, feels like less of a problem for Tomoko than for Shizuku. Um, but I still like that. It's she's set up to be like really interesting, and then she just does not do anything like at all. She has the most prominence that I can remember that she really has after that is helping with the movie and having admittedly really fun interactions with Kiki at the festival. But that's it. And while I wouldn't call her a bad character, I definitely would say she's extremely underbaked. Um Almost like the opposite problem as Megami. Like genuine like the complete opposite of Megami is that like she has the potential, Megami has the potential to be good and like is shown that she can be good. She just doesn't show up very much. Shizuku could have been good but isn't, and shows up too much to really have any meaning, to not have any meaningful thing. And also, then Megumi's older, Shizuku's younger, and that considering the fact that they look so similar, it almost feels intentional. But it feels like they could have done just a lot more with her that they just never ended up going through with. Her main thing is just at the start showing that like Tomoko actually has like a lot of friends now, and that's a cool demonstration of it. But it's like I wish she had more going on than she does. I think that's it, really. Yeah.
Um. Uh. Komi, please. Komiyama.
Komiyama. Komi is a character that I really, really liked her at in the first part of the manga, when she was like sort of Tomoko's first friend, but they weren't really friends. They were more just connected through you. But that rivalry was still really fascinating. Um, and her crush on Tomoki was really funny, and I liked what they did with it. All the little gags and jokes that they did with it were really interesting. And I do think that is like still the best, like that kind of stuff is still the best part of her character. But as time goes by and more characters get introduced, more characters become friends with Tomoko, she really kind of falls to the wayside. She becomes more disconnected from that main group. And she get like the running gag of her being super into baseball. It's like I don't care. I don't care about like sports stuff at all. And like I get the joke behind it, but it's like I don't care enough to really find it enjoyable at all. Honestly, the whenever that stuff comes up, I just kind of started skipping it. I started skipping it because I just found it so boring. Um and it's really unfortunate because she had so much going for her, and then she just kind of like falls flat eventually. Um, but the only thing really propping her up still is that stuff with Tomoki, which I think do find really fun and interesting and funny. Um, I just wish there was still more to her character outside of that. And that she got to do more with Tomoko, but I wouldn't say she's bad, just not as good as she was before.
So, Komi is pure chaos. Let me just get out of the way first. Some of she is very, very polarizing, in that you have to ask yourself, does her comedy work for you? If it does, if you enjoy the Kyoto comedy that she brings, then she's gonna be an amazing character for you. If you don't, then she is probably one of the most annoying characters in the that uh in the in a cast. But speaking of those that enjoy the comedic moments, I will say that she does have some very funny scenes, and I can see the humor. Some of the funny scenes that manga does have because she completely loses control of a situation, usually because of Tomoki. That her obsession with him leads to constant and endless misunderstandings, overreactions, and moments of be it first-hand or second-hand embarrassment. Um, but simultaneously, she's very polarizing in that there is no middle ground what is Kyoto. Every time she shows up, she gives a very strong reaction. She always makes her presence known, which could be either very good or very bad, but depending on, again, if you like her humor or not. Tourette and I, who we both understand the joke involving the baseball thing, but we're just not a fan of it completely. Well, I mean, sorry, we're not a fan completely. We're just not really too much of a fan of it in general. And her reactions with Tomoki, they're fun and it can be funny, but some of them is a hit, some of them is a miss. There's another character that, in my opinion, is basically just Komi, but done right, that we haven't talked about yet. Um, but I mean, I do appreciate that um, she is one of the kiddos who is befriends Tomoko and actually kind of sticks around, unlike Megami.
And
She's
that's
friends with her,
debatable.
and that's debatable, yeah, because she doesn't really have like good.
I
She doesn't
never
really
I
have
never
like
really considered them to actually be friends at any point.
yeah, she doesn't really have like health interactions with Tomoko. It's mainly just like trying to. She's basically like trying to sniff out Tomoki, and that's basically her entire kiddo. So as her humor didn't exactly work for me. He ended up being one of the weaker word toward like the worst killers of the cast. There was just nothing really that I mean I did find her humorous. I did find it entertaining, but this is not the kind of chaotic entertainment that I enjoyed from a Kero because there's gonna be another Kero again, unrelated to the one that's as I mentioned before. That's basically just Komi but done better in relation to Tomoki. That brings a chaotic humor to the table that's actually enjoyable for me. So for that reason, she ends up in C. She's my first CTO.
Hey. You.
Oh, you. Well, this is a bit of a funny case because unlike most of the other kiddos who starts out um toward the bottom and then slowly makes their way and climbs up the rankings, you for me started at the top, but then
You connected to her like immediately.
immediately, yes. But then as the manga went on, she accidentally tripped and hit every step on the way down. Um, I don't dislike her by any means. I'm still a fan of her. She is just now vastly overshadowed by other killers now, and the culprit is because as the more time goes on, the weaker that you becomes, in my opinion. She is the strongest. She was the strongest when 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 Tomoko didn't have many connections, and like you is was the most supportive of everyone. But as the cast grew, as more killers in the friend group gets fleshed out and gets more screen time, you falls to the wayside, and her supportiveness, while she's one of the first ones, does feel less special in face of everyone else. She is, alongside Megami, perhaps one of the kindest and sweetest killers in the series, so like she has that going for them. And even after Tomoko became more socially successful, she never really distanced herself from Tomoko. She still enjoys spending time with her. She always smiles, and she always smiles. She's always there. Um, uh, and she's just her angriest, quote unquote, is that it's just like her having like those nervous, like those sweat bullets like flying from her head, which to be fair happens a lot. But the conversations throughout the manga show definitely show a level of trust and comfort in like the first um 50 to 60 first 50 to 60 chapters that Tomoko doesn't really have with anyone else. And if the manga continued on its original path, who knows what could have happened? I mean, maybe you could what it become like say like one of those prominent killers, but unfortunately that doesn't reflect reality. That isn't the world we live in. Which I mean, it's not a bad thing. This is definitely much better. What we got, but even still, Yu's great because of her consistency and um uh. But at the same time, I will admit that one of the things I can see people uh be having like hate with disliking her for is that she's kind of boring, which I can definitely see. She's always just like this cheery, supportive, and never ever gets like realistically upset. Um, she's always just she almost feels like she almost feels like an AI in that she gives like the constant positive reactions, um, and never like anything that results in, for example, any of the other killers, like hitting Tomoko even when she deserves it, or for like especially when like Tomoko voices expressly mention sexually yeah the abuse sometimes, but even then she doesn't like do anything that actually hurts Tomoko like ever throughout the entire manga's runtime. But even still, given that she's her Tomoko's she's the most supportive of Tomoko, and she was the first one even before Megumi. I I still like her, even if she has lost a lot of her charm as a lot more as the manga's progressed. So I'm gonna place her. I I don't like her, and have to put an as such anymore. I am gonna put her in. Uh, I think that position's fine, to be honest, where she is now.
Next to her future wife.
Uh-huh.
You you summed up basically everything. I don't really feel like there's almost anything that I can really add. You is she's definitely a character that fell off really hard, unfortunately. I mean, to be fair, I I think it's for the best because I think Tomoko needed to kind of separate from her a little bit, and I think a lot of her other friends are better than her and more enjoyable than her. She was like a good person, a good lifeline at the start, but definitely was like wasn't gonna like last. You know, it needed to do something more. I think in that original version, like you talked about, there could have been more with her. But at the same time, I don't really know what else could have been done with her. Um, so I mean, I'm glad things turned out the way that they did because I think she isn't enough to really support much on her own. And while she is a good character, I think the further that we go and the more we get to learn about other people, the less her personality stands up to other characters. You know, she becomes a lot less. She feels a lot more one dimensional compared to a lot of the others. I do really like her interactions with Asuka and everything, and I do still like that she does at least try and stick around, like with Tomoko and stuff, and they like wants to go to the same university and everything. Which again, I'm hoping, I think if a college thing happens, she's probably gonna be in it, and and that'll probably be like give more definition to her character. But as it stands right now, you basically covered everything. I just wish there was I do wish there was more to her, unfortunately. Yeah.
Um, Akane plays.
Akane.
Akane.
She's she's fine. Akane is fine. The main thing is that she doesn't really have, she's like one of the more prominent like super side characters, but she is, I think, still a side character, unfortunately. She doesn't have much to do. She is Nemato's friend, and she does have several really funny moments, like we mentioned with the bullying thing, and the moment that um Tomoko like makes her think that uh Nemato's only gonna do lewd stuff, and she is like, "Hey, I'm gonna like this is really weird, but I'm gonna support you anyway because I'm your friend." And it's like, yeah, that's really cool of you, but it's also really funny. Um, I just wish there was more. She feels like a character that could have so much more, but just kind of fell by the wayside and wasn't really given the kind of attention that she should have gotten. But the thing is, I don't really have to like nothing against her. Like, there's no negatives I can say about her specifically. That fine, it's only about her presence in the story, really, that I find that I take issue with. Other than her freaking atrocious hairstyle. Yeah, why? Um, so I think bottom of B is probably a comfortable spot for me to put her. Okay, so your turn.
Um,
Yeah.
so Akane to me is unfortunately incredibly disappointing. She has perhaps the highest ratio of um, screen time of any character before they were introduced. Because in the first before the school trip happened, you constantly see her just lounging around in the background, commonly with Nemato. And you think that given how much she's been built up, she's gonna become a major killer on the same wavelength as, for example, Yoshida, Yuri, Nemato, or like the others. But she doesn't. Instead, she remains a side killer, and it just doesn't have like too many scenes, unfortunately. Um, her she does get interactions with Tomoko, of course, but most of the time is spent around Namato. What I guess is it means that she does remain true to Kyoto. I do like that. She is consistent in that matter. But when you see her when you see her design, which I trust me stands out a lot among the cast, and throughout multiple chapters, and you think it's gonna be building for something big, and then the payoff just never happens. That's just disappointing, unfortunately. Now, between of the two, between Yamato and Akane, I'm really happy that we got to spend so much time with Yamato. As we'll get into later, but and she does get some funny scenes, as mentioned in Red section. The scene with Yoshida bullying Tomoko, and she just throws it back. Uh, but I mean, aside from that, okay, she just remains a side killer. I expected so much more from her, and it just never happened, unfortunately. Instead, the focus was always on the other killers, which definitely isn't bad. But when I think back, I'm like, oh yeah, you existed for well, you existed, and anytime I see her portrait, I remember how much she showed up in before the school trip happened and everyone else started filing in. And then again, I'm just repeating myself now, but nothing happened. So for that reason, I'm gonna just jeez, I'm gonna just throw it in like the top of C tier.
Top of C.
Uh, that's not top of C.
That is top of
Oh,
C.
sorry, sorry. I think the stream lagged.
Okay. Can you see it now? Are you
Yeah.
looking down the characters?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Sayaka.
I'm just getting fed. I'm just getting fed spoons of like crap now. Uh,
We gotta save the good ones for later.
uh, Sayaka sucks, and not in a good way, unfortunately.
Oh
Well,
my.
not unfortunately. The whole interactions revolve mainly around Akari and Tomoki. But I wish he didn't exist. I'm not missing words here. I wish he didn't exist. She, and ever since her introduction, every almost every single interaction I could think of involving um, where she shows up alongside Akari is purely just making Akari uncomfortable or screwing Akari over with Tomoki. And and of the group that swarms Tomoki, Akari is my favorite character. So you can see how that's a huge problem. Well, anytime um Akari shows up, I always have to like mentally brace myself, like suck in a breath, because I know that there's gonna be a likelihood that Komi or Sayaka shows up, and then Akari gets upset, or has the dead eyes, or just loses like the will to live, or something of that regard. And to make matters worse, during the play, and then she steals Tomoki's first kiss, and she not only apologizes, but inadvertently rubs it in Akari's face, and Akari like storms off. Trash killer, trash killer.
It has the gall to fall in love with him.
Trash killer. So she, I again, this is the only case of a killer who I wish didn't exist. So bottom of D tier. I'm not gonna make him have tier. That's too harsh, but still.
Sayaka is honestly a character that doesn't. The thing is, I don't feel as viscerally angry about her. Mostly because I just don't really feel too much of anything when it comes to her. It's like I don't really feel anything positive, but I don't feel anything super negative either. I understand your hatred for her entirely. I just don't really share it, I guess. I don't like have that same amount of disdain. Um I do feel really bad for Akari of that she's like I she really needs to just drop this woman as a friend because it's just not working out anymore. Like I understood why she kept her around at first, but then it's like, dude, she's literally falling for your man. You need to fucking cut her out. So I I'm eager to see. I don't think her and Tomoki is going anywhere because the other candidates are just far stronger and have been established for far longer. So it's not going to go anywhere. So I am curious to see where her story ends up going. But I don't have super high hopes for it. But again, I wouldn't say that I outright like hate her. Just don't really feel much of anything.
I have nothing to say about this killer, so please do duly honest for me, Hikari.
Hikari of the like Komi Hikari pair. Hikari is just way more interesting and funny. Her being like constantly like she's probably like Komi's like only friend outside of you, I'm pretty sure. And So just her constantly being around, being like, "Komi, you can't do that. People are gonna think you're weird. You stop that. It's really creepy." Like, but she's like she like it mostly feels like she just feels bad for Komi, honestly, most of the time, and that's kind of funny to me. Um, but I think she's like a decent friend. She sticks by her no matter what happens. Well, yeah,
No, bless
excuse
you.
me. Um, and she's very adorable. And unfortunately, she doesn't have too much else going for her. But at least I find her more enjoyable to see hanging around and stuff, other than Komi herself, which I find kind of funny. Um, I just wish I wish she had a little bit more. Unfortunately, I don't have much to say either.
So I'm gonna be completely frank with all of you. I have like nothing to say about this kiddo. I can't even tell you like a single scene where she appears. To be honest, like I know she appears. Okay, I can remember like some scenes where she's in, but every time when she does, I'm always paying attention to like other killers. Which I guess it's just like a result of like her being a side killer, but she is not memorable for me, and therefore I just don't really have anything to say. Um, therefore, I mean, see, I mean, I still I she doesn't I never throughout my entire time reading the manga, even despite not remembering like scenes with her, I also don't have any scenes with her or anything that she said to my recollection. I stood out that I disliked either. Because if there was, I definitely would have remembered it. So for that reason, she's gonna be on top of C tier for me.
Mako.
Mako, Mako. Mako's great. In my opinion, Mako is I think I really like Mako. I think she is probably the who I would consider the emotional backbone of the friend group because throughout the manga she is um helping people interact. She has healthy interactions with the others. She's helping other people understand each other, communicate healthily, especially Yuri. Some of her best moments happen when she's like quietly supporting again Yuri through like awkward social situations or helping keep the group together during outings and school events. She always again has a she always feels like down to earth. She is has a very nice design. Um, she uh, is again. I do think that her crushing on Yoshida secretly is incredibly cute, and especially explaining to Yoshida how intimacy works is in drawings is definitely one of the cuter, if not if one of the cutest moments in the entire manga. Um, and I definitely think like what makes her so likable to me is like she understands people's flaws without judging them. I mean, she is manipulative sometimes, but like I mean, she's manipulative in the fact that it isn't malicious, um, and it's mainly to like try to get close to Yoshida, which to me I just can't hate her for it personally. Um, she the only flaw I can think of off of my top of my head is that she is really the center of the story. She makes her presence known. Anytime she appears, I always find myself like glancing at her and I do like every interaction where she's present. But again, she spends more time like supporting killers than driving her own character, in my opinion. Driving her own arc, because to my recollection, I don't think like Tomoko ever has a any uh moments with her where it's just her and Mako. If anything, it's Mako. It's Tomoko with like another killer and then Mako's off to the side. I think that's usually. But in the scenes where she does appear, I always find myself liking her. She's sweet and she's nice. So I'm gonna throw her in uh top of S, please.
Damn moment. Jinx is having fun rolling around and knocking everything out of his way. He does not care.
Is the recording paused?
No, because people need to hear about him being weird.
I mean, do they know who Jinx is? Or
I mean, they can figure it out. It's a cat. I think it's pretty obvious.
Well, they could also be a dog, but still.
Okay, Mako. I really liked her early interactions with Tomoko and Yuri. They were really enjoyable. I feel silly that it took me until almost the end of the manga to realize that she had a crush on Yoshida. But once I did realize that, I think getting to see it the second time around when Arc was reading and seeing the little subtle details here and there, both of the way she looks at Yoshida and the way that she's constantly manipulating situations to get her to like hang around her, to the point that even Yuri starts to notice a lot of the time, is really fun and interesting and cute. And she's just an extremely adorable person. I'm a sucker for freckles, so every time I see her, she's just adorable. The her protectiveness of Yoshida is also really cute. Like the freaking death glare she gives Tomoko when Tomoko suggests that Yuri and Yoshida kiss. It's incredibly funny. It's one of my favorite panels in the entire series for the just absolute death stare she gives. And that crush is really cute, and I really hope that they do end up together, because it's been such a slow burn that I really do like Yoshida crushing after Tomoki, but I would much rather prefer Mako and Yoshida, because otherwise Mako doesn't really have anybody else. And she's just a very pleasant person. The way her main thing holding her back is that I really wish she wasn't friends with Sachi, because she can do so much better. And I don't even fully get why they're friends, you know? I don't really get it. I don't know, because Mako is fully aware of Yoshi, like, of Sachi being weird. I don't really know why she sticks around. Although I do find it interesting that she's probably pushing Sachi to go out with Tomoki so that Tomoki is taken and Yoshida can be hers. It's like, I do, again, it's like how Arc mentioned. She has a lot of manipulative traits, but it's always for the sake of just because she wants to be closer to her crush, and it's never malicious or bad. So it's like, it's kind of fun. I really like her being like, just like she's just a girl in love, and it's really cute. And also the implication that she knows a lot about sex is always really, really funny for the implications of it all. And it's really subtle, but I really, really like it. Just her, she's always the person that people first off getting the 100 on the health class when only like 2 other people did. And then also being like somebody that like basically everybody goes to ask about sex, and it's always just really funny. Yeah, I'm gonna keep her right here. Pat, 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 pat.
Okay, it's my turn. Is it Kotaro or Koharu?
Koharu.
Koharu. Okay, then go with Koharu, please.
Koharu was like kind of a weirdly bigger turnaround for me than I was expecting. Because she was like down with Sachi and my least favorite characters. Even after her redemption, she still was like one of my least favorites. She was better, but she was still just, I didn't really like her compared to a lot of the other characters when I first run through. But going back and seeing it again when Arc did it, and seeing again her relationship growing with Futaki, which is extremely cute. Her standing up to Sachi and trying to kind of ruin her relationship with Tomoki, and just generally becoming a much more pleasant person to hang around and everything. It's really nice. Although unfortunately she still is hanging around mostly just Sachi, and that kind of sucks because she really deserves better friends, especially now that she's starting to grow wiser to everything going on. Um, I feel like there's still a little bit more to her character that she still needs to have developed, but I'm worried that there's not going to be a lot of time for it. But we'll have to see where that goes. I think she has the potential to go up into B depending on how that goes, but at the moment I think she's stuck at the top of C for me. Though she was at D before.
Um. So, apart from what I already mentioned, I do really like that she does get character development in the beginning. She's closest with Sachi. She's kind of just like there, and she's just uh talking uh talking behind other people's back without killing one. And if Italia shows up, and then Koharu recognizes and befriends her, and she makes a friend outside of just her mean ass friend group. And and Sachi talks about it when and then later on when Sachi starts talking that mean stuff about Koharu, you would actually see the kill development in that Koharu actually stands for Futaki again. You know, okay, I'm not gonna take this, we're not gonna take this shit from you. We're talk about my friend like that, and then she actually like bites back, and then you can actually see like Sachi actually like being like she doesn't give a surprise expression, but she like stops talking. It's like doesn't like she just like holds the cup in front of her. It's like well, it's like credits as well. Never mind that like mutters herself, which I definitely think it's a really nice moment, and I definitely really like that. But as more time has gone on, um, her relationship with Sachi is less like more of a friendship and more like a rivalry of like going back and forth, them like trash talking with each other, which I think is really nice. And Koharu's actual friendship now is with Futaki, which I definitely think it's definitely a lot better than Sachi. I definitely think Koharu definitely needed that with that growth and character development. I think she did it really well. I think Futaki was like an anchor for that. But more than that, I also like that just as a whole with Koharu, Sachi, and Futaki, I really like that you get to see a perspective of another friend group that's outside of Tomoko's just uh, the friend group that Tomoko's hanging around. That there's another friend group that exists apart from just like the main one we've been spending a lot of time to. So yeah, I mean she does have like really bad like first impressions, like she kind of which in I regard, but as the series has gone on, as the series the more the series goes on, the more I find myself being um being entertained, or the more I'm progressive, just being happy when I see her, even if part of that is just because I get to see Futaki again. So I'm gonna put it right beside the person who gave her the redemption, Futaki, and I'm gonna put it uh the right above her in B.
Interesting.
It was oh oh there's a few more.
Nemoto.
Oh. Okay. So
If you don't like Nemoto, skip ahead like 15 minutes.
yeah, please skip ahead like 15 minutes because apparently when I looked up people's opinions about Nemoto, I learned that that strangely liking Nemoto is a lot more uh, kind of like a warm take, like lukewarm take, or like a hot take, lean towards a hot take. Which I cannot for the life of me understand why. every time she shows up, it is always a freaking treat. And when anytime I lamented in my section about Akane, I lamented about the fact that um, here's a Kyoto who is foreshadowed for for like a whole bunch of chapters before the field trip began, and then the payoff never happened. Namato has leaps and bounds uh, a massive payoff.
She's
She
the
is
sleeper
my
cell.
she is one of the funniest and most chaotic. She's one of the funniest characters in the entire series for me, and she is absolutely a character that sold the entirety of the Watamote manga for me, and made the entire experience like so freaking enjoyable. Um, in my Komi section, I mentioned the two that there was another character that brings the chaotic entertainment, but does it right. And that person, in my opinion, is right here, Namato. Every time she shows up, it's always I can't express this enough. It's always a treat. She's a complete disaster hiding behind a confident image. So she has a lot of scenes involving her trying to look cool or socially successful before accidentally exposing like her own insecurities and getting verbally assaulted most often by Yuri, which well we'll get to Yuri in a second in a bit whether but whether she's teasing Tomoko, creating drama within a group, um just uh is there just just creating tension or drama for an amusement, it is always entertaining for me. Um, I have seen a few people say that she's manipulative, and I am I just blind? Where's the manipulative coming from? I don't understand that critique more personally, but to me she, she because to me I've only ever seen her as being this cheery, happy, very cheery, very happy self who always like tries to like tries to like look out for the others. Um, she's one of the first people who interacts with Tomoko. She befriends her very easily and quickly. Especially once again, we'll talking about it actress things. Her her big payoff comes from uh her the where she and Tomoko are enacting out voice lines for I think it's a movie, and then Tomoko like flounders the lines, and Nemato just like improvise for her. I think that's very sweet of her. I think in the scenes in the scene. In those scenes where they're sharing a room together, they have some incredible interactions. Um, I think that uh, I think that during when they filmed the movie that during the school festival, Namato makes her presence very well known. She has some absurdly funny scenes, and like I especially love how she and Yuri like bicker over like the tiniest little details. I I I really like the fact that the she, like a lot of the other kiddos, I, alongside Yui for that matter, seemed to at the beginning to have like a crush on Tomoko, but as time has gone on, it seems like both she and Yui have fallen out for each other. Have fallen out of the crush for Tomoko, and I think now is a good time to mention that the reason I think that, and I mean, well, the reason I think that's because, but is unrelated. But the reason we think that is because like neither Nemato nor Yuri seem like nearly as jealous or like nearly as defensive as like some of the other killers are, or some like Uchi for example, when like someone is getting close to Tomoko, because near the beginning, you can see like when Tomoko is like getting chummy with Asuka, you can see like Yuri and Nemato in the background, be like, "Huh? What are you talking about? Huh?" But now that never happens anymore. They don't even like bat an eye. And the reason for that in my headcanon is that um I am a firm Nemato and Yui shipper. And to explain my reasoning, it's because every scene, almost every scene where Yui shows up, like 90% of the scenes where she shows up, Nemato is like Uchi with Tomoko in that regard, where she is always there beside her. Like no matter what, it's just always just present, talking to her about something, or is just doing whatever with her. And anytime there's like a title page of a chapter, when I look over at Nemato, I always see her gaze like just staring directly toward Huey. And it's especially prominent when it's celebrating the school festival, and like even despite the fact that what Yui said was extremely basic, it was said 3 times over, Nemato still looks at her as if like she said like the best speech ever. And I know like it's explained because that she believes like they both flounder lines, and so they both cleared under God. But that's just like cements it further to me. And another reasoning is because in chapter 193, when they all it's actually chapter 193 where they all like go to the ramen shop and eat ramen. That actually made me realize like wait, is this actually something here between you two? Because even despite the group consisting of like 5 or 6 or 7 people, I get the reason was because that Nemato was like concerned because Joey looked like she was about to throw up. But when they stepped out for 5 to 6 panels in a row, even despite everyone just like minding their own business or like talking to other people or like talking to each other or like not paying attention to Yui, Nemato is, for those 5 to 6 panels, is constantly just like staring directly at Yui, like not breaking her gaze, constantly is like asking her, Yuri, are you okay? And then when she eventually shows up, she gives like an actual strong voice reaction. So again, she's again, we'll talk about more when we get to Yuri section, but she is such a treat. She alongside Yui and Tomoko and Megami, when every time she shows up, is where it is. Absolutely sold the manga for me, and I adore her relationship and chemistry with Yui, especially because Yui seems to love trolling Nemato and only Nemato, which yet again solidifies why I ship them, because you don't see that side of Yui like ever, like at all. she only trolls Nemato, and out like she it has like that smug like smile anytime she does, which I always find like so funny and so like just so it's every time they have a scene like that together, it always sells the entire moment for me. And yeah. So in summary, she is very sweet. She's very kind. She's very cute. She's very funny. She's just a fantastic killer, and rightfully so. She's absolutely, from reading this, has become solidified herself as one of my top 10 favorite killers like of all time. So make another tier above SS and throw it up here. Throw it up there.
Yes, sir. A real move.
How did you?
Don't question me. Nemato is a character that I would say started off like when she first gets introduced. She gets introduced before Yuri and Yoshida like show up at all, and she's kind of like a mild. She becomes like a Tomoko's first like acquaintance, and it feels like oh, well, maybe eventually they'll become friends, but it's like it feels way farther away. But the thing is, she's the first step towards feeling like there's progress. That she actually like talks to Tomoko like more frequently. She like she gives her attention and stuff that she's normally not used to, and everything, and it's cool. And then after Yuri and Yoshida get introduced, and like stuff starts happening more, she has a little bit, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more about like voice acting stuff. She comes across as very cold towards Tomoko a few times, eventually getting to the point that it almost feels like she's going to be more like antagonistic until finally she reveals her stuff to the class, and then after that she starts hanging around Tomoko even more, and it seems like then their friendship just kind of happens, and it's really nice, and then gets developed more as time goes by. Like you mentioned, like the crush feels like there's definitely like a crush there for a while, even but and then eventually falls away, which I don't think was the intention, but it actually, again, it's kind of the same thing that I talk about with like Yoshida. Like I like that. I like that feeling that looked like these two girls were in love with Tomoko, but then when nothing ever happened, they fell out of it, and that's so realistic and entertaining and makes things more interesting, even outside of shipping them with each other. Um, it's hard to. There's not much more I could talk about Nemoto because you covered most of it already. I'm very happy that she did gain more status as like basically one of the main characters, because I think she has a very fun personality. She's very interesting. She's kind of a ditz sometimes, and it's really fun. She's a very nice pairing with both Yuri and Tomoko. I also definitely ship them together. I wouldn't put her as nearly on the same level, but actually, yeah, probably keep her like right where she is. Um, Yeah, and your love for her definitely. Before I might have kept her in like S. Your love for her has definitely infected me enough to put her like a tier higher. um, I think she's very entertaining, and I like how, especially towards the second half of the manga, and then growing especially more during the school festival arc and everything going on there, and her relationship and dynamic with Yuri is one of the best parts of the story, in my opinion. Yeah.
Um, I mean, 20 was been paid attention. I feel like they already know like who my favorite killer in the entire manga is. Do you just want to talk about that, or
No. We're gonna say I want you to be the one to talk about that.
Okay, then
That's your
uh
character, so you could go off.
okay. Well, Tomoki then.
Oh damn, that's the one I was gonna ask next.
Well, then the Kori.
No, we can do Tomoki. It's fine. I don't mind that. Tomoki is again, and it's another character that I'm like, there's like the first half of the manga. It feels like he's just kind of there. He's um someone. He's the in the first part, first section of the manga. He's just like there to draw off comedy off of Tomoko. Then once he enters her school with her, it's things get a little bit more like interesting and fun. Things slowly building up over time until eventually it's like you start realizing that he's kind of drawing in people the same way Tomoko does, and I find that really interesting that their dynamic is kind of like you could like they kind of share in that they have a knack for accidentally drawing people together completely unintentionally. Um, Although he's much more against it than she probably is. Um, he's just trying to live his life, and people just keep falling for him, and it's really annoying to him. To the point that like there's these images that are like, yeah, Tomoko and Tomoki both have like the same number of potential partners to choose from, and that's honestly kind of funny. I like that. Like they have that like thing in common, even if neither of them would ever realize it. Um, and then there's obviously his relationship with Tomoko is really fascinating and interesting, and I am so curious what the context behind their kiss was because it's never explained. And I'm sure that we're probably going to get more information on it later, but it's like, it's such a bombshell to just randomly drop there that it's like, well, now I want to know. How did that happen? What's the context? And it's like, uh, it's his dynamic with her is just really, it's makes for such good comedy. It's definitely that kind of trope that's been played out before, but it's even so, they still do it very wonderfully. It feels like realistic without going too far into an extreme most of the time. Um, and then his dynamic with the other characters is really interesting. I like his dynamic with Yoshida and Sachi especially. He like I mentioned like way back. He is kind of like he draws up Sachi from where she was before for me. Um, and is I think they're the most likely to end up together. Um, although I do 100% headcanon him as asexual because he has shown no desire for anything ever in that regard. Ever. So, um, I'm very curious to see what else happens to him. And then him getting the funniest thing is like, despite this whole thing of like Tomoko like always being like surrounded by like women and everything and all these like things that are ships and having like people who are like crushing one person that's absolutely crushing on her, then several others that might be crushing on her. It's so funny to me that after all that, her brother is the one that gets a gay kiss first. That will never not be funny to me because that's so ironic and it's so out of nowhere, but it's so funny. And that his entire storyline in the school festival is so funny. He's like aged like 20 years by the time he's done with that fucking festival. Those 2 days were 20 years. It's so funny. Just he wants nothing to do with it. He feels like a character that should get tired and annoying, but he just never really does for me. Um, obviously he's very inferior to his sister, but he definitely grows into a much more enjoyable character in that second half once people start like noticing him, paying attention to him more, and especially during the when Sachi falls for him and during the school festival. So put him right here.
So you once again covered a lot of what I was gonna say. The only thing that I feel like I can add is that I understand if I had a sibling and that sibling was like Tomoko, I would probably be like this guy too. I would just be like, please, please leave me alone. I want to please. Now I probably would. Well, I can't say that, but I'm only child. But so I don't. But it's like, but like if my sibling was like annoying me to the lengths, even to the lengths like Tomoko down, I probably wouldn't get violent with them. Um, but yeah. Um, I fully understand why Tomoki acts like the way he does, why he's always like so done because he's just trying to live his life and all the time Tomoko is just like harassing, like verbally harassing him, or like he's just being surrounded by killers like Komi, but which yeah I understand. But at the same time he does get like some good interactions. Like for example, toward like at the end of the play, I did like his interaction with Nemoto, for example. Despite his constant comedy, being with Tomoko and to telling Tomoko to like to get the f out of his room because but again like the his comedy his Tomoko his and Tomoko's comedy never misses for me. It is always a hit. It's always like so funny. It's just seeing Tomoko. It's like trying to do something for it, but trying to do something like trying to ask him something. And Tomoki's like, what the f? It's like, get the heck out before I punch you or something along those lines. Which again I just always find really really funny. Um. So yeah. Um. I like him. Unfortunately, he doesn't have much of a presence. He does get like a lot more presence, toward let's say in half around like the time of the school festival. But anytime like anytime he shows up, it's always something that it makes me smile just from the entertainment factor. So I think he's fine like where he is for me. Are you getting tired?
A little bit, but I think we're starting to get there, so I don't mind keep still going. You're gonna have way more to say than me, so let's do Akari.
um. So as mentioned before in the Komi section, Akari is Komi if she was done properly. And what I mean by that is that Akari genuinely just feels like a normal girl just trying to go after Tomoki. But she gets ahead with handfuls and handfuls of crap because of her connections. Mostly with Saika, because again, but I've already as mentioned, I dislike Saika quite a lot, but for that reason, she has a very funny moment in the beginning where she actually slips up that she wants to see Tomoki's thing, and then
Just say
and
it.
and then her face just like the
Sure.
tones like beet red, and then she's like just stammers, and like for like a chapter or two, she's just like it's like dying inside. I think that's like like one of the highlights of the manga like early on, but uh I uh I just I just find her very pleasant, very cute, and a very enjoyable and nice presence to be around. Unlike Komi, who's very chaotic, unlike Sayaka, who has a lot of bad scenes about making Akari uncomfortable, whether intentionally or not, Akari is just someone who's just trying to trying to live her life without constantly going after Tomoki's bug. I think is the best way to put it because Komi, it seems like oh, that's like always you can think about. With Akari, at the very least, she has yes she likes Tomoki, uh, but she's not like all over him, and her reactions isn't nearly as strong, and she's a lot more um composed. She's a lot more rational. She's a lot more like calm, and actually like again down to earth. So plus again her design of everyone is of those that are after Tomoki is but far and away my favorite. She is just adorable, and what be it her interactions with Tomoko, be it her interactions with Tomoki, be it her interactions with the during with a play, um during the play. I especially like that even though Sayaka like stole the her foot her first kiss, Tomoki's first kiss, that should have been hers. Like she doesn't actively, vocally like cuts her out or say anything. She just like gives a bunch of like uh death glares
She
and
feels
like
tempted to throw a bottle of water in her face.
uh-huh. But she never actually does so. She never says anything. She never takes any action. She just throws the ball on the ground and storms away. Which I think is definitely very mature of her. And that maturity is definitely something that of the ones that are chasing after Tomoki is severely lacking. So she is wonderful, wonderful kiddo. And so she is gonna um I'm gonna put it between uh Y- Uh, um, well, she, no, I'm gonna put her in like the top of A tier actually. Yeah. Because she isn't all there all the time, and she does like fall off. And like when she has the scenes, she does have good moments, but she isn't there all the time. That's real.
Akari, I wish she got more attention. Um, because it's kind of like you said, she's just an all-around pleasant person. The comedy that does come up between her, Tomoko, Tomoki, and Komi is very funny at times. She is greatly held back by Sayaka, and I hope she stops being friends with her because she really needs to just fucking drop her. It's just not helping anymore. Um, she's very sweet and kind, and although I don't think she's gonna eventually end up with Tomoki by the end, she's probably the person you'd want to root for the most. Um, Especially since I think, other than Komi, her crush has been around the longest, or has been established the longest. Um, you covered like basically all of it. Um, she needs to drop Sayaka like yesterday. Mm, boop. Yes.
Uh, wow, looking at this, there's only two left, isn't there? And
Um, there's a few like minor characters that I feel like I could say a few things about, but there's yeah, I think there's only the two. There's only two more like big characters, you know. And funnily
well,
enough, it's our two favorites.
okay, well, it's your turn. Go ahead. I want to hear your explanation for this.
The thing is, it's nothing rational. It genuinely like I don't think it really is. I just fucking adore her. I think she's incredibly adorable. Her crush on Tomoko, I like that it's actually like she's the only character that has a definitive crush on Tomoko, and that definitely helps for me. I really really like her. I know you don't like her appearance and everything. I think that they use it to great effect. I think the joke is funny, and it makes it so those few moments that she does have like those emotions, like her eyes do get like the more detailed, are really beautiful. Her blush is super freaking adorable, both the small one and the tiny one. It's very cute. The way that she constantly just pops up whenever is incredibly funny to me, and it always made me like genuinely like laugh when I was reading the first time. Just once I noticed that she just always pops up next to Tomoko, it's always really funny and entertaining to me. Uh, just all the ways that she like fantasizes about her is very fun. I think the way that she's like trying to deal with these brand new like emotions is interesting. Like she's trying to understand the fact that she does find Tomoko attractive, even if she's like it's like she finds Tomoko's like weirdness and like grossness and creepiness. That's what she likes about her, which is so contradictory in her mind that she struggles with it, and she struggles to get people, even though she's basically told people multiple times that she had like basically has a crush. The way that she phrases it makes it so that it makes sense to her but to nobody else except for like Kiki, which I also find interesting. I think that little dynamic that they had was super fun. I like that she has friends that like fully support her crush and like give her ideas and everything. All the one-on-one interactions that she has with Tomoko is super fun. Like the the drinking, the mix, sharing the same drink, leading it to her like basically inviting her to a love hotel and then getting upset that it works, which I find just really funny. The fact that she gets to have that indirect kiss with a water bottle, I find it so. It feels like such a when Tomoko's presented with Uchi's bottle and Asuka's bottle, it's astounding to me that she actually chooses Uchi's of the two. That's really surprising to me and makes me just like very happy because that feels like such acknowledgement. It's like, yeah, I think Uchi for being the character that has the defined crush, I think it's good that Uchi was the one who was basically able to get that um indirect kiss, and that's really cool for her. And I know I mentioned it before. It's just like all the different fantasies that she has about her is always every time they pop up is always so either funny or adorable, or both to me. I find her every single time that she popped up, it just got to the point where I was just like, it's kind of like you with Yuri. I just got happy every time she showed up because I love like every single scene of her, and even if it was a bad first impression, realizing later on that it was a form of like internalized homophobia and seeing that like happen and seeing her slowly that first reveal that like, oh, she actually has a crush on her with the when she's blushing at the chocolates. It's like that realization was just like, oh, that's why she was acting that way. Oh, that makes so much sense, and it adds so much more to her character. And I don't know, just like it's a lot of that love is I know she's not like the best character ever. And when I would not go anywhere near saying that I like her as much as you like Nemoto or Yuri, even if they are going to be in the same tier. But she's absolutely my favorite character in this manga, and she made me happy every single time that she showed up, and I really, really want them to end up together at the end. I also think it's the one that's most likely because, again, definite crush, the only confirmed crush. Plus, I think it would be kind of disservice to have that happen, and then nothing comes of it. That feels kind of weird to me, I guess. Yeah.
I, I, I mean, what is there for me to say? I mean, yeah, I acknowledge the points. I acknowledge the points, and this is a case where um you always say to me how my love for Kiddo can always infect your love for them, and make you love them more. You're not as vocal about your love for Uchi as I am throughout my reading of Watamote, because I think it's always been like drowned out by my constant like rambling over Naruto and of surprise last killer Yuri, but um even still, just I I can appreciate that humor, because the same humor is the one that is the same thing happens with as I discussed in the Nebuto section that she always pops up beside Yuri, and I always found that really funny and very like um very pleasant to see. So come in this thing. The where my problem lies is that unlike Yuri and Nemoto, uh, for me, well, actually, there's two. For starters, um, this is of course subjective, and you already brought it up. I'm not a fan of this appearance, unfortunately. I think if she had like normal eyes, she'd probably be a lot. I think she'd probably be a lot cuter. I mean, I know that's a part of the appeal, and I know that helps make her stand out. But it just I just don't vibe with it, unfortunately. I do really appreciate that the the comedy that result, but it's kind of two sides of the same coin. Because on one side, there are scenes where it ends with Uchi screaming "Why," and those are the scenes where I find like a lot of entertainment and a lot of enjoyment, a lot of like funniness out from her. The scenes where I find that Uchi calls Tomoko gross are a lot more hit or miss. Um, I do like how that she could like kind of pop into existence anytime like Tomoko appears. Um, but at the same time, I simultaneously feels like it's kinda uh kinda over over established. I guess I mean I know it's like it happens every time. It basically happens every time. But which I never minded because unlike with Komi, she's not being like super annoying or like super annoying about it. It's clear that she's very obsessive over Tomoko, even though she doesn't want to admit it. And on tip and usually I'm not like too much a fan of like those obsessive personalities, but I mean at the same time I just can't really bring myself to dislike Uchi because again she makes it she makes it work. But again, unlike Namato and Yuri, she again starts off on the wrong foot, which those two did not. And not only those two did not, but like several other characters did not. So for that reason, I can't bring myself to put her too high, like nearly on the same height as you love her. But I can still appreciate like the jokes. I can still appreciate like her existence. I can still appreciate the scenes where she's in, and I can definitely still appreciate the scenes where she's with Tomoko. So I'm gonna uh I'm gonna put in the bottom vest here, please.
I think part of the reason that I also love Uchi so much is that she reminds me like a lot of how I acted when I had a crush on someone in
What?
when I was younger. Just kind of always finding any excuse to just kind of hang around them, always trying to be the first one to like sit next to them.
Okay, yeah,
Like I,
I
I
can
think
agree.
it just reminds me a lot of how I used to be. Hmm.
Uh, uh,
Obviously his favorite
uh,
character is the dog.
excuse you. Um.
Ah,
Uh. Uh.
ah,
Okay.
ah, boop.
If you've been paying attention throughout this entire video, this should not have come. This should not come as any surprise to you. And Red can tell you that when she did not expect this at all. She
Okay,
did not at all.
I do want to go on this. When we were
Okay.
going into this manga, well, see the way that we did it was I read it all on my own, and then I was bringing it up to Art to read because I thought it'd be fun, and then he was like, "Hey, why don't I read it and like you like watch me read it?" And it's like, "Oh, okay, that actually be pretty cool. I like seeing your reactions to stuff." So we did that, and I was like, "Okay, I bet he's gonna like I don't really know like." Who is all I thought his like a go-to was going to be like Asuka or Mako. I thought those were going to be like the big ones that he connected to. I knew he was going to connect to you, but I didn't think that was going to last throughout the entire thing. Never in a million years would I have ever thought he would get attached to Yuri, the like girl who's like basically emotionless 90% of the time. Never ever would I have ever thought that that was going to happen, but my god, the way he like just gushed over her every single time that she showed up in the second half. It was it was one of the cutest things I've ever seen. He gets so adorable when he's like flustered and gushing over a character that he loves so much. Especially once he started shipping her with Namato, it got even more adorable.
So uh
Got you flustered, didn't I?
yeah, you did. I might be a little bit blush. I might blush a little bit right now. Um, hopefully when the YouTube watchers open like and see like how long the video still is, it's not gonna be like 30 minutes when there's only one killer left realistically with this last one.
Oh
But
well, I'm gonna take note of the time.
okay. So Yuri, um, Yuri Tamura, she to me is. I know this is probably a hot take, but I think she is one of the best written killers in Watamote because she feels so incredibly real. At first glance, as it's shown in the school trip, in which, by the way, she does that person that we get introduced to in the field trip. yes, she has her name, but that appearance is not Yui. Like I swear to God, like she was in
Personality
a preview or
either.
something. No, not personality either. Exactly, because at first glance, she seems like the stereotypical quiet and very shy girl, and very like emotionless and stoic. But the manga gradually reveals that she's much more complicated than that, because she struggles with because as it goes on, we learn that she struggles with insecurity, jealousy, and communication. And instead of those flaws being treated as things she instantly overcomes, because I know that even in this manga, I know that this other, in Kira's and other mangas are victim to like they are shown flaws and like 10 chapters later the flaws are instantly resolved, disappears. And sometimes it even happens with this one too. Instead, with Julia, they're explored throughout the entire story in a way that feels incredibly believable. And what makes her so compelling to me is that she genuinely wants to connect with people, despite her being violent, despite her being despite her toxic relationship with Nemoto, despite seeming like she wants to push people away, she genuinely, again, it's clear that she values and cares about her relationship with others. But she just doesn't know how to express her feelings or take initiative in sort of situations. I saw. So some of her strongest moments, of course, come as with other characters, come from her friendship with Tomoko, where you can see her slowly learning to open up to trust others. In a school trip, even though her personality remains stoic and flat, even though it's basically just emotionless, um, she opens up and becomes more vocal and learns to trust others and becomes more comfortable as she integrates with the group. Her relationship with Marco is important because it shows how much she relies on people who understand her without forcing her to change who she is. Her relationship with Nemoto is very important to me because it's almost feels like she's crushing on her after they're crushing each other after like the both of them, as mentioned, Nemato's section fell out of love out of the crush with Tomoko, which again feels incredibly real. And again, once again, her toxic relationship and chemistry, her interactions with Nemoto is always 100% a treat. Yet at the same time, despite her always calling Nemoto useless or like inefficient or like she can't rely on her for anything. In her mind, there have been many moments in the manga where in her mind she says she thinks to herself that she can that if Nemoto is on occasion, it's going to be okay, that she can rely on her, that in several occasions she even opens up and actually compliments her, compliments Nemoto when nobody else genuinely does, which one of the scenes was on a rooftop where she praised Nemoto's ability to act when nobody else did, and then Nemoto even acknowledges that. And after asking her Yuri about it, and Yuri just gives a dismissive response. Nemoto is like, "Well, I can tell you're lying," and in the same panel right underneath, you see like Yuri's like smiling over toward her, so, which I think is like so freaking cute. I ship them together so hard. It's like so, the chemistry is so perfect, and her just awkward, her attempts to fit in during the group outings, tour trips, and scheduled hangouts are very often funny. And anytime that she shows up, I always found myself like gawking because like how freaking pretty she is. Um, every time she shows up, she always shows up just like you in like some of the most prettiest outfits in my opinion. I love her design, and it's surprisingly relatable because the manga very captures the feel of um, of being left behind or replaced by people you care about very well. Because I mean, as it tends to be when a kid was stoic and what or emotions or try to push people away, those people typically get left behind. But like I really like that not only does it not happen with Yuri, but like she manages like stay with the group and manages to always make a presence known as in every time she has a scene with her group. It's always a treat. But at the same time, even despite her growth, she never completely changed into she never completely changed into a different character. But she simply becomes more open, more confident, and more willing to let others into her life. And she she's isn't like an idealized version of a shy person. She's just messy, awkward, and just just emotionally complicated. But to me, Yuri is just stands out as easily one of the manga's strongest characters by a landslide because her growth feels completely earned, her struggles feels authentic, and every scene she's in with one of the characters, she adds something meaningful to the story. She adds some very wonderful and memorable interactions, and I am just so obscenely just I'm just so in love with it, especially after um uh beginning to shipper with Nebuto toward like the later half after around like chapter 193. So it's just again she's just a wonderful kid. There's not a single negative I can say about her, to be honest. So go ahead.
6 minutes. She, the thing is, Yuri, I would say, was probably one of my like higher, like an A, maybe low S for me, first time around. Um, I the funny thing is, in hindsight, I can't imagine why. Um, although to be fair, my second time around, my opinions of like most of the characters went up on the second time around. So, I mean, you covered everything. She's Your love for her is so infectious that it made me really, really take a second look at her. And that second look was exactly what she needed, because that second look made me come to appreciate her a lot more. Not only for the relationship with Nemato that almost feels kind of like they're pushing it, especially closer to the end. Um, but that's just like her as a character on her own. She's incredibly layered. Her relationships with her friends is fun. She's surprisingly adorable. Um, I mean, it's hard to find negatives about her, really. Um, you cover basically everything, so I don't really have too much to say. But yeah, I'm very happy that I got to have a second chance to really look at her because I've come to appreciate her a lot more the second time around. And now she's one of my favorites too.
Feel like if Tomoko was a protagonist, Yuri has the appearance of a protagonist herself.
Honestly, yeah, kinda. Though to be fair, most of the characters have that kind of thing. Like I could see her being a protagonist. I could see her as protagonist, her as protagonist, you know. There's a lot of characters here that I think have protagonist appearances, which is good. That means more like characters, you know, that more defining featuristics, I guess. Yeah, Yuri's great. I She's one of the reasons that I think that there should be a college thing because we deserve more. So
She and Nemeto are the sole reasons I want to reread it like right away. Reread this manga.
so yeah, I think that's it, right?
I think that's it. Unless you want to talk about the minor characters, but I have nothing to add. So it's gonna be just you.
I was gonna say this guy. I don't remember his name, but I find his few appearances are very fun. Um, it took me until literally today to realize that the reason his eyes look like that is just that whole thing of like the eyes are very specifically made for different characters. Certain characters are given certain eyes to give them more personality, and this is just what his eyes look like. He's a very good cross dresser. He passes as a female so well that people get his number, and um, even his male classmates like defend him like they're like he's their girlfriend or something. And then he has a random fucking French kiss with Tomoki. That's one of my favorite moments in the entire manga. So I really, really like him. I wish there was a little bit more to him, but oh well. Where is she? I'm blind. There she is. The teacher, coach, whoever. Um I really liked her in the manga as well because like her being like an early thing to try and push Tomoko into things, and sometimes it works, but most of the time it's just kind of a misunderstanding. But it leads to a really comedic situation where she just gets so close to understanding things. However, she is the reason that Tomoko became friends with Yoshida and Yuri. She's the one that sets that entire thing into motion. She's the one that helps Tomoko get her first real friends and make them and set off the manga to become way better than it could have been. So I think that deserves a little bit of merit from her. And yeah, she doesn't really show up after that much after that, but that's because by that point her role has been completed, and I think that's really good that she had her purpose and she served it. Um, and then her again, I also don't remember her name, but I think she's one of the funnier ones of Yoshida's friend group. The joke of her constantly having her fate. The funny thing is when she first showed up in the manga and her face was obscured, I thought she was gonna be like a really mean character, like kind of like Sachi, because Sachi like didn't have a face for like a long time. So I thought that it was kind of like that kind of thing. That was the impression I was getting, that she was going to be like a mean character or anything. No, it just ended up being her thing. She just you never fucking see her eyes. And I don't know why, but that's just really funny to me. I can't even explain why. That's just a joke that like. I love what they do with the eyes in this manga because they tell so much with the eyes, and it's something that I've never really seen in like any sort of like anime or manga before. Just like the eyes, very specific eyes, everybody having different kinds of eyes, adding to their personalities and like making them more stand out more. And it's really cool, and I wish that kind of thing was done more. And I like the joke with her especially. It's really funny. And then just on her own, she's got some fun interactions with Yoshida, and I find her personality to be very funny and enjoyable too. Um, Again, just also just makes her more recognizable too. Yeah, and I think that's it for me. Yes, I'm done.
Okay. Hey, sweetie,
Yes.
do you think the top two tiers are who's topping the bedrooms?
Uchi is absolutely yes. Tomoko or Nemato and Yuri. I think it could go either way.
Okay.
No, actually, now that I think about it, no, Yuri is definitely the most. I think it could go either way, but Yuri probably does it the most often. So yeah, this is mine. This is my full tier list. And this is my lovely darlings. Any other last minute changes? Or actually?
uh, um, scroll down for me. No, I'm satisfied with this.
I'm probably satisfied with mine as well. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
That was fun. Yeah. Go read Watamote if you haven't. I mean, I don't know why you were watching this if you didn't, but if you somehow haven't, go read it. It's really good. It's one of the best manga I've ever read. Go. Now. I really hope they get I hope it gets a sequel manga. I want more.
Me too.
Um I'll try to yeah. Okay. Thank you all so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoy and subscribe to see more, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye bye.
Love, love. Wow.